It's Sunday, November 12th, 2023. The temperature outside is 4 degrees. It's midday now. That's the forecast high for today. And I'm glad that it's melting the snow. There's not a lot of snow outside, but there's a good blanket of it. But it's definitely going to melt over the next few days. I think Tuesday's high is 7. And if that's sunny, that's melting weather for sure. It's mostly sunny now, a little bit of a high cloud, so the sun isn't as hot as it could be, but it's definitely hot enough to melt the snow. The bee barn is still holding at 5C, which I'm impressed with, that it can come 1 degree below ambient temperature. It crossed over from 4 to 5 just after 8 o'clock this morning, though. So there's a lot of day left, and I expect that temperature in there to go higher even at that today. But there is really nothing I can do about that. So like they say, worry is obsessing over things you can't change. So I can't change that. The only thing I can do is if it gets completely out of hand, is just open up the door and start hauling hives outside again. And that's an all-day proposition, so it's got to be worth it. So I'm working in a wood shop now, and I have, through a few different circumstances last year, I came up short with my orders, and I didn't get 200 covers built that I had planned to build last winter. My woodworking season really comes to an abrupt end when the bees come out and need my attention. And rightfully so. I'm only one person, I can only do so much. So there's 200 covers here that need to be built, and I've built 6. So, that's 194 to go. And I don't know, you can't quite see the pile of plywood over here in the corner. The thing's on my table here in front of me, but I have to make some headway. I can't build that many in a day. I can't build a great number in a day, because standing in one position doing one task really takes a toll on my joints, and that's just the way it is. So I do what I can, and I have set myself a goal by the end of the month that these will be done and delivered by the end of November. So I need to get at it. I didn't get anything done yesterday. I was otherwise engaged in some non-work productive activities. Sometimes you just need that. Yesterday was kind of my day off. Today's Sunday. It's Sunday, but it's not my day off, because yesterday was kind of my day off. So that's the way I look at it. And obligations coming up this week are going to take me away from the shop again. So it's not like I've got 7 days a week in the shop. I may only have 3 or 4 because of other commitments. And otherwise, that's what's happening today. I'm working in the shop today, building my covers, and I believe 46 is what I have done so far. Shooting for 200 here before the end of the month. So, there's a bunch on the pallet there, and there's some on the table here. But that's not what I want to show you today. Today is our regional bee club meeting, and we have a little fun little thing there that we do. We have a little draw where people will bring gadgets and things. They don't even have to be bee related, but often they do, because you know your audience. So bring something bee related and it'll be popular. And I often try to take things. I know it was in the spring. I got carried away here and made 100 of those entrance reducers that have the notches in them. Those flew out of there like wildfire. And I've often just taken, it's a bit of a cop-out, but it's something that I have, and something that everybody needs, is I'll just take a pack of 10 frames I'll put on the table. So that's a popular prize as well. Today, we're having not only the draw, but we're having because it's our last meeting of the calendar year, we have what's called Gadget Night. And so you bring things that you find handy in your bee yard. It doesn't have to be something you built, but often it is, because, you know, we have the same tools that are available at Bee Supply, but it doesn't have to be something you built. And just show and tell, share it with the group, tell them about the thing you built and how you find it handy. And I thought one thing that I've found handy would actually fit well into both of those categories, because you can see quite a few videos online. I know I always, I often reference Gus Mitchell. He has a good video on this, pushing cages. And I think I saw Bob Binney show this on a video recently as well, pushing cages for queen introduction. And I'll explain as I go here exactly, you know, what it is and how to use it. So I thought that would be a nice craft that somebody can do at home. It's pretty easy, and it's a pretty effective way to introduce queens. So let's get into that here, and I'll show you what I'm doing. I'll put this little cage together before I do much explanation on how to use it and why it's an effective queen introduction, because that'll make a whole lot more sense to you. Basically, I'm going to start with a piece of eighth inch hardware cloth, your standard stuff that you use in beekeeping all the time. And any kind of screen would do, as long as it's small enough that the workers can't go through it. But this stuff is nice because it holds a shape. You can bend it into a shape. You can see that there's some propolis on this one. I had it on the bottom of one of my little 4-frame nukes. And I forget what it was, but I tossed something along and went right through the screen there. So that was kind of, you know, needed replacement. And so I thought, hey, that'll make 2 or 3 push-in cages. Now the exact dimensions for a push-in cage aren't set in stone. Typically people make them maybe 2 inches by 3 inches, or, you know, 2 inches by 4 inches, something like that. This is 8 across, which I think will do just fine for the length. And again, I'm not even going to really measure that. What I can do is I can cut this damaged portion off of here. And these are just good quality kitchen shears. Don't tell my wife that I'm using it for this. So I find they're very effective for cutting. Utility knife, you can cut this stuff. You don't have to get too carried away. You don't really need tin snips per se. So I'm actually going to measure this just to see if I can get 3 out of here. What have I got? I've got 13.5 inches. So if I cut that 4 inches, I can get 3. So again, don't obsess over. This is a crappy tape; it doesn't stay out. Don't obsess over the size. All I'm trying to do is maximize the usage of this piece I have. Okay, the only other tool that I use in this, I have the scissors, and I have a common paper stapler. Okay, make sure you have staples in there. So again, don't tell my wife that I took her stapler for this. The one kind of critical dimension that you have is the height of this, because what you're going to make here is you're going to make a little box. And the sides of the box need to be a particular height. And that height is the depth of the comb, the brood comb, plus how tall is a queen, you know, some bee space. I don't know what that size is, but I think about 1 inch will do it. So what you can do here is you can take about and I'm not even going to measure. I've made these before and they work fine. You can take this. You can get kind of fancy. Use a piece of wood Bend it over a piece of wood if you want. Make a nice, I find it's nice to bend it a little bit farther and then back so it stays. So that's a pretty good height. We're probably looking at, yeah, we're looking at about an inch there. So I'll do about another inch here on this side. Make a nice sharp seam there, a nice sharp corner. And so I want to do the same thing on these sides, however, I have to cut it for that, right? So I want to cut it the same distance, about an inch, right there and there. Cut it here as well, about an inch and about an inch there. So now, it's a little harder because you got the other parts bent down already, but you can flatten those out again to make it work. So bend those down. Just the same. Make it as sharp as you can. Okay. So now what you're going to do is you're going to take these wings, refold the ends, take the wings and bend them around the edge here. Okay. So this kind of thing. And this is where the stapler comes in. The stapler is just the perfect thing for that. You can just staple right through that. 2 staples, 3 staples. And that just staples that together really nicely. And that's pretty well it for the assembly. And you see I've got a bit of a differential here. I'm going to trim that just a little. I don't want to make it too short. And sometimes people will make a little door. They cut a little door in the screen in order to help them introduce the queen. I haven't found that to be a burden, honestly. Okay. I have this frame. I'll try to demonstrate. You know, it's not drawn, obviously. But that'll kind of work to our advantage with the demonstration. My little staple came out of there. Okay, so that's what you've got. You've got a little cage. It's open on one side. Now the theory is here that you want to install this so that what you end up with is you end up with your queen under the cage and no other bees. Okay, so the queen will be under the cage. She'll be protected from the other bees, but they can tend to her and feed her if they so choose. The other thing is try to put this cage over emerging brood and some open cells. So if you have an intersection of some emerging brood with some open cells outside of it, then put this on that intersection. Okay, so that she's got not only place to lay, but she has worker bees emerging in the cage with her. And those bees will be instantly loyal to her because she's the only queen they've ever known. And I don't know exactly the timing on this. You'll have to do a little research. But when you install the cage, you want to push that cage down into the comb as best you can. And I find that making these edges sharp, and making sure your sides are nice and straight will help you. Otherwise, you could kind of collapse it because it takes a bit of a push. So you push that cage down into the comb, right down tight, and it works best with plastic foundation. So you have to push the cage all the way to the plastic foundation because the bees, the worker bees, will try to tunnel down under it. You'll see when you come back to get this, they will have cleaned out the comb around this cage, and they'll fix that later. That's not an issue. So that's what I find. To do this, I'll take the frame that I want to put her on, again, with some emerging brood and some open cells. If you could find maybe a few cells of honey there, open cells of honey or something like that, that's fine. She could eat that too. But it's the emerging brood is the most important part, I feel. Because again, if brood emerges, then there's going to be an empty cell that she can go ahead and use. So I'll pull the frame out, I'll shake all of the bees off, make sure there's no bees on that frame, and then I'll take my queen and I'll place my queen on the comb and then cover her with the cage, right? And then in a safe manner, making sure she's not going to get caught in it, then I'll just push that frame right down, or that cage right down into the comb as far as I can push it to that the plastic foundation. I don't know the timing on when you should come back, but I don't think it takes very long. We know the candy introductions can be 2 or 3 days. So I don't think this needs to take very long. The other thing is, you can see how this protrudes, up from there. You may have to take a frame out of the hive temporarily, so there's room for this cage in there. I would push the cage mostly up tight against the next frame. I know when I first used this, I left space between the next frame and this one, so the bees could access the queen through here. And while I think that's still a good idea, one of the times the cage came loose, they tunneled around it enough that it came loose. So having that frame against that in the hive, I think is probably what you want to do. So that's push-in cage. I think I've covered everything. So I'm going to make 2 more of these, and I'll explain that at the bee club tonight, and then I'll give them away to the draw. So let's make a couple more of these. Found that piece of wood pretty handy to bend that over on. So I can start actually by cutting in about 1 inch and up about 1 inch on these 2 ends. I'll make my job a little easier. Because then I can go ahead and push that short side down without any issue. Okay. And again, see how those they're splayed out. I want to take those a little bit over center so that edge is nice and square and sharp. Okay. This one, try to pinch it a little to make that edge square. Alright, so when I fold that over, I want to make sure that's fairly square. I've seen people use a little block of wood in here. I think that's a really good idea. I choose not to, because it would keep everything nice and square for you. Okay, I'm going to just staple that. Get my extra large fingers out of the way. Let's put 1 staple in until I've finished assembly. Okay, I feel it's important for the bottom edge to be fairly uniform, so I'll trim this little corner here. That's because I want to push this down to the foundation to keep the bees from going under it. If there's a irregularity there, the irregularity might prevent that from happening. I don't know about this stapler, they seem to be just coming out. Put 3 in, maybe I'll get one to work. You can use the screen itself to attach. You can, undo the little wires and put the little wires through the holes and tie it tight. And, do whatever you want. Okay, so you can see that they're little different sizes and whatnot. And, some things size matters, and in this size does not matter. So don't stress it. So those will make 3 little giveaways at the Bee Club. I'm looking forward to the meeting tonight. I always look forward to them. And that's for many different reasons, and I would encourage anyone who's not a member of a local bee club or local bee association, become a member. There's so many benefits, and particularly in our case, it's not a financial commitment. The membership fee is very, very low compared to the benefits that you gain by being a member. Now, I'm not going to detail on that. You can contact the association if you're interested in our particular bee club, which is the Red River Apiarists Association, by the way. But the benefits are many. And not only do you get to regularly meet with like-minded people who are interested in your hobby or your sideline or your business. We are mostly hobby and sideliner association, but there's a few small commercials that show up there. So you get to rub shoulders and discuss things and get information and debate what the best hive tool is. All those things beekeepers love to do. You can take advantage of so many perks, not the least of which our association has a mentorship coordination program where if you're a new beekeeper, you can request a mentor, and then one will be set up for you. So that's a huge benefit, because as every successful beekeeper knows, if you don't have a mentor, you're missing out. You really need a mentor. You really need that person you can call or email or text message, and when you're losing your mind, and they can talk you down off the ledge on some particular issue that you happen to be having, or making plans for the future. I discuss my plans for the future with my mentor all the time. Even things that he's not doing or hasn't done, we can discuss. Hey, do you think this would work? Do you think this kind of a management model would work? And so we could have some really good discussions that way. Our association, we have fantastic speakers. We have some very high quality speakers at our association presenting for us every month that we have meetings. And I say that because I think it's 8 a year. We miss 4 months that we don't have meetings. There's no December meeting. There's no summer meetings. Everybody's just so busy. And the caliber of the speakers we have is really tremendous, and we have a really, really good education team that puts that together for us, and I'm so thankful for that. So don't forget, what we've learned over the last 3 years is meeting other people like that is something that's fragile. That can be taken away from us, and you can debate whether or not that was necessary, or who's doing what, or who's behind the curtain pulling the strings, but the fact is it was taken away from us. And so use that, because you are free to do that. And if a situation arises where there's some entity telling you can't meet, that's a great loss for your beekeeping community. So use your bee associations, use your bee clubs, go to them, enjoy them, benefit from them, participate, contribute to them. Another point is volunteerism. Volunteerism seems to be something that's really slipping these days. And I kind of get it in a way. People are busy, people say they're busy, all this kind of stuff. However, it's usually the busy people who are the volunteers, which is kind of weird, but that's the way it works. There's an old saying, if you want something done, give it to a busy person, because they'll get it done. Volunteer. Please volunteer. There's so much of a gap in the available volunteers these days with what needs to be done. And there is no mistake that any great organization like this starts with great volunteers. If you don't have great volunteers, you won't have a great organization, because then you have a one-person show, and things get very one-sided, and all that kind of stuff. So please volunteer, please. And I'm putting that out in general, but I'm putting that out to our membership too. Get involved. Your help is needed. Your skills are needed. We need skilled people. We need people who will just do work. You don't need to have skills, but if you have skills, bring them along. We can certainly use them. So I'll wrap that up on bee clubs, and hopefully these pushing cages are well received tonight. And I'll be out late and enjoying the camaraderie that goes along with the bee club. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Take care and have fun. It's Tuesday, November the 14th, 2023. You remember last week when I showed you where my bees sat and I was unsure if I wanted to move them in or not? Well, most of the snow was melted. The temperatures have been very warm. It's muddy, lots of water, and lots of ice, so I have to be careful. And I did move my bees in. And my fan's been going overtime. I'm not too happy about that. I love the warm weather. I'm out here in a t-shirt. The 14th of November. It's 6C right now. Forecast high is 7. So you can imagine the difficulty keeping this building cool. Let's go inside and see what's going on. It always takes a moment or two for my eyes to acclimate to this not only dim light, but red light. Let's take a look at the controller and see what it's getting for a temperature reading. 6.5 degrees. So you can see that the fan is on high speed. That's all it's got. For interest's sake, we'll check the CO2. 481. That should be atmosphere because the room is being vented so well. There's a modest amount of bee drop here. A little more over by the hives, of course. But I see a few bees crawling around. I see a few flying to the lights. Red lights are red, but they're not perfectly red. If you buy lights that are for, I think, like a photography darkroom, that might be much better. So here we can take a look at some of the entrances and see a little bit of crawling around here. It's pretty good. There's not a lot of crawling around, but you see the bee drop. There's a lot of condensation here. There's a lot of moisture. That's not good. Sometimes that's just moisture that came in. Maybe there was some water on the bottom board. Sometimes it's syrup that's going bad. Those nukes are fairly strong, those poly nukes, and they're not running around. They're not bearding. So that's good news. I don't know if I can see the back or not. So, you know, when I see temperatures in here that high, I get worried. But maybe I shouldn't worry so much. There's a little bit of activity here. And they don't care for the white light. They do, is the problem. They go to it. A little bit of bearding on that one. There's some nukes that are stronger, showing themselves. So I'm pretty content. It's going to get warmer in here than this. The controller's just gone up to 7 degrees. I don't know what it's going to top out at today. So in the meantime, I'll go back in and keep building covers and try not to worry about this. Because the only thing I can do about this is to get the tractor and start pulling bees outside. And you know what would happen then? There'd be full flight and bees in the snow and bees on the ground, and it's not really what I want to do. See, the light changed again. Anyway, so we'll talk to you tomorrow. Thanks for watching. It's Thursday, November 16, 2023. Now we've got a little bit of a reprieve from the warm weather we've been having. Now the bee barn maxed out at about 7 degrees yesterday, which is much warmer than I like it to be. Of course, I keep saying that I'm targeting 4C, and I think actually I have it set to 3. I can't make it too cold in there because I have a few things in there that I don't want to freeze. So I can't really get too much of a margin, even if I could cool it down at night or anything like that. So my fan has just been running high speed for days and days and days, and it's hardly shut off at all since I put the bees in. And today is a little bit of a reprieve, but we're going to have a warm up again in the next few days. But you know, it's today's Thursday. By I think Tuesday, I think next week, then the daytime temperatures start to max out below freezing. So that'll help a lot. Typically, the building reaches equilibrium about minus 10 C outdoors. And what I mean by reaches equilibrium is that the normal heat shed of the building reaches equilibrium with the heating of the bees. So therefore, there's not a lot of cooling necessary in the building, and yet it's warm enough that there's not a lot of necessity for the heater to keep the temperature up. As the temperature falls below 10 C, then the heater will start to come on very rarely at temperatures, say above minus 20 C. So when it gets very, very cold outside, then the heater runs. It actually is a little bit comical because, as you know, I have a CO2 stat in there. And so the CO2 stat will turn the low speed on the fan on as the air quality degrades in the building. And so therefore, when the temperature outside is below 10, minus 10, then the cooling fan is not running. And what that means is also that there's no ventilation. So then the air quality in the building degrades and the CO2 rises, is what I mean. Then the CO2 stat will click on and it'll ventilate the building for a time and shut off when the air quality increases or improves. So when it's very cold outside, you can go in there and you can listen to the heater and the ventilation fan play tag team in about 1 minute or so intervals. The heater will come on for about a minute, it'll shut off, and then the ventilation fan will come on for about a minute. You know, because the ventilation fan shuts off, then the air quality, the CO2 rises, and the heater comes on, and the heater shuts off, the ventilation fan comes on, and the temperature falls a little bit because it's cold air coming in. So it's a little bit of a tag team between the two, but it actually targets that temperature just about perfectly. So last night the temperature in the barn did drop to about 5 C, so I'm encouraged by that, and it's running at 5 C now. I want to take you outside now and show you kind of where we're at right now with the weather. As mentioned, it warmed up a little, or it cooled off a little. It's running about 0 C right now, and guess what? Started to snow. That's kind of what happens. But I think most of this snow is still going to melt in the next couple of days because the temperatures are supposed to rise up again to about 7 C, and if it's sunny at all, that really melts a lot of snow. I don't like snow. I'll take cold temperatures easier than I'll take snow. I really, really don't like snow at all. So what can I say? It's one or the other. My fan is still running. The fan is still running like crazy here, trying to cool that building. I just hope that fan doesn't have some kind of mechanical problem, because it's getting a workout. It always does, but this year is actually a little bit worse than most years. So what can I say? I've been working in the shop lately. I've been just trying to plug away at those covers. I think I have about 80 done now, and I think today I can manage to get to 100 or maybe even more. Off to Winnipeg again tomorrow. I seem to go there a lot, but yeah, deliveries, packer, the usual stuff in Winnipeg tomorrow, and then, you know, working in the shop again over the weekend. So I should be able to finish after today. I should be able to finish assembling the covers in 5 more days, and then it might take me 1 or 2 days to finish all the trimming the routing, and the palletizing. And after that, I can stick those on a trailer and get them out to the dipper in Austin, Manitoba. And when I drop those covers in Austin, I issue the invoice. So I'm really looking forward to get paid. It's been a long time to get that order done. You can hear the snow is so crunchy here. It's because it's not dry snow at all. It's very, very heavy and wet snow. It crunches beneath my feet. So anyway, that's about all I've got. And I usually don't update when I go to the city. So I'll just leave it at that. And wish you all a really great weekend. And thanks for watching. Take care and have fun.